Hey everyone, happy holidays. I just wanted to record a quick video explaining the rules of Cambio in a casual way because lots of you have probably received your decks now or you're about to get your decks, and I just want to make sure you're as well equipped as possible to play Cambio over the holidays. So Cambio is a game that's probably best with 3 or more players, and the aim of the game is to finish with the lowest score. And so what I'm going to do now is explain the gameplay and how that works, and then give you a few strategies to reduce your score, and then show you how the end game works as well. When does the game end? So you have your deck, and you just want to shuffle your deck, and you want to deal every player 4 face down cards like this. I'm going to pretend now like I've got 2 players. Let's give ourselves 3 players, why not? And then you have the discard pile. So you start the game with this nice little rule that my friend Nathan taught me. And I'll probably just say as well, actually, that everyone has their own kind of house rules for Cambio. We've given you some rules in the deck, and there's some variations too. But we've designed the game so that you can have your own kind of house rules. So feel free, come up with your own house rules and tell us what they are. We'll be really interested. So you have 4 face down cards, and the way the game starts is everyone goes 3, 2, 1, look, and everyone looks at their bottom 2 cards once, and then you put them back down. And I probably should say actually that you start with a card with this Nathan's variation. You start with a card on the discard pile, and so everyone looks at their cards once, and then you put them down, and you have to remember what they are. So Cambio is a memory game, and it's a turn-based card game. So I've dealt, whoever dealt, you can start from clockwise from the left of the dealer. And the way every person's turn works is you pick up a card from the draw pile, or in fact, you can pick up from the discard pile. I'll explain why you might want to do that another time. And you personally can look at this card, and you can decide to do 2 things with it. You can either swap it with one of your own cards. Now, why might you want to do that? Well, if I've seen that this is a low card and I'm trying to lower my score, I can swap it with a card that I know to be high, and then I can reduce my score in that way. And then with this discarded card, you have to quickly flip it and discard it onto the discard pile. Now, why do you have to quickly flip it and discard it onto the discard pile? Well, so right now on the discard pile, we have a 10. So you can see the 10 here. If at any time any card goes in the discard pile, and you know that there is an identical card on the table, you can flip out that card and put it on the discard pile. Now, that's a really good thing to do because it leaves you with a vacant slot. So that's a good way to reduce your score. So now I have 1 fewer card, and therefore I have like a 0 in this vacant slot. So that's great. This is a bit of a race, snapping out this card, because it can only be done once per card. So now that I've snapped out a 10 onto this 10, no one else can put a 10 on there. Other people might have had 10s, and as soon as that 10 showed up, they might race to snap out their cards. But it's basically whoever gets there first. If you try and fail, that's okay. But if someone puts a 10 on the discard pile, and you snap out a 13 thinking it's a 10, but it's actually a 13 and you were wrong, then you get a penalty card, okay? Right. So that's one thing you can do on your turn. You definitely have to draw a card on your turn, and then you have to decide to do, like I said, 2 things with it. The other thing you can do with it is you can just discard this card straight away. You don't have to swap it out with one of your cards. So the advantage to discarding a card straight away, you might want to do that if it's just garbage and you don't want to have anything to do with it. But you also might want to do it to use the special powers that all the cards 7 and above have. So there's 3 or 4 different special powers. And I'll explain why you might want to use the special powers. So this one is look at someone else's. There's also a look at your own. There's an informed trade and there's a blind trade. So look at your own has an obvious advantage, right? So say you pick up a look at your own and you discard a look at your own, you can use the special power. And then I can look at one of my cards that I don't know. And that's obviously advantageous because if you know more of your cards, you can snap them out when they show up on the discard pile. Now, why would I want to look at someone else's? Okay, so this is a really fun part of Cambio. So, like I said, if I can look at someone else's, right? And then I have to put it back, of course. Now, if a card is on the discard pile, and I know that there is an identical card anywhere on the table, I can snap it. So it doesn't have to be one of mine. So now there's a 12 there. I don't have to have a 12. If I know there's a 12 here, which there is because I've looked at it now, then I can do that. Now, why would I want to do that? Because I think that might be an advantage to them. No, in fact, if you snap out someone else's card, you get to give them one of your cards and they get a penalty card. So that is a hard thing to do, obviously, because it's hard to know what other people's cards are. But you get a big bonus for having done that because you have one fewer card and they have one more card. So that's great if you can do that. So you keep going, people draw cards, you swap them out with your own, you can snap cards to reduce your score, you can discard cards and use the special powers. Let me go through the last two special powers. So we've done look at your own, we've done look at someone else's. Now, there's blind trade. So if you pick up a blind trade, and in fact this is a blind trade, and you pick it up from the discard pile, you discard it. The reason I keep saying that is because if you swap out if you swap out a power card from your hand, you can't use the special power. So you can only use the special power if you pick it up from the draw pile and discard it. That's very important. So I've discarded a blind trade now. I can use the blind trade power if I want. You don't have to use it. So blind trade, you can swap any two cards on the table. So say I know from having looked at someone else's card or something that they have a -1, which is like the best card in the whole game. For obvious reasons, it's a very low score. Then I can swap it with one of my cards, which is like garbage. And then I have the -1 and that's great. The other thing you can do is, you can obviously only do one blind trade, by the way, with one of these. So I'm just going to say, if I had done this again, then you can swap two other people's cards. So you might not know what they are, and you can mess with them, and then they'll not know each other's cards, and might know their opponent's cards and slam them out. So that's great strategically. Or there might be someone that's kind of winning, and you want to give them something garbage, and that's cool too. So you can swap two people's cards. Now, there is a 13 in the deck, this one. There's only two of these, and that's because this is the most powerful special power card. So this is an informed trade. So this is kind of like a combination of a look power and a trade power. And if I discard that, I can look at two of any cards on the table. So I can pick up one of my own, one of my opponents, and I can look at them. And then I can decide if I want to trade them with each other or not. So if I'm quite happy with where they are, I don't have to. Whereas I can also, if I say, oh, that's pretty nice, I want that, I can swap these two. So that's a super powerful special power card. So, a few points on etiquette. When you pick up cards, you can look at them for as long as you want, but then when it comes to flipping out, I recommend you use one hand only and flip out really quickly so that everyone gets a fair look at what that card is, so they can all snap in a fair way. And the other reason I recommend using one hand is because, say I have two cards that are identical, and I put one down. It's unfair if you know what's happening to like follow up really instantly with the other hand. So to make the game fair, it's best if you use one hand, and that's a nice fair way to play. So you keep going around and you keep losing cards, and maybe I've lost a lot of cards, or maybe I've lost all of my cards, and some of my opponents are down to 2, and this guy's down to 3. If I think I'm in a really good spot now, I think I've got the lowest score out of everyone on the table, and crucially I have a score lower than 5, I can call Cambio instead of my turn. So when it comes around to my turn, I can't draw a card if I want to do this. I call Cambio, and then we go one more round. This guy plays, this person plays, and then we all flip up our cards, and whoever has the lowest score wins. If that's me, that's great, I've won. However, if this person has a -1 and 1, so their score is 0 in total, we've tied. But because I call Cambio and we've tied, this person wins. That means I lose and I start the next game with a penalty card. So I start the next game with 5 cards. So that's the way the game mechanic works. I think that is everything. Enjoy playing Cambio. Message me or Josh or Bron or anyone if you have any questions. Let us know what your house rules are, and have fun playing. Happy holidays. Hey, P.S. Back to Nathan's special rule. So you deal your 4 cards to start the game. Shout out Nathan for teaching us this one. So the way we like to play now is you start with a card discarded, and reason being, you go 3, 2, 1, everyone looks at your cards. If anyone has a 3, they can slam it straight away. And that's just a kind of fun way to start the game. So that's a nice thing about Nathan's rule. So that's just for the start of the game. That is literally just the way you start. And then the other thing is, just of course, I said that if you flip out the wrong card, you get a penalty. That obviously applies to if you flip out one of your opponent's cards and it's wrong, you also obviously get a penalty for that too. So yeah, that's my little PS.